Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is CJ. Welcome back. We're at episode 35 of the Innovative Marine 75 EXT Reef build, also known as the Be Easy Reef. Now, if you stumbled across this video per the good old YouTube recommendations, you're not familiar with my channel, this is a full build playlist, everything nice, neat, organized on the channel. Check out the playlist, look at any episode that piques your interest, or just give it a play and get caught up on everything that's happened over the last year of this tank. Almost a year and a half at this point, so we're rolling. But this update, we're going to cover everything that's happened over the last few weeks. Definitely has been some drama worth sharing, so we're going to cover that. And we're also going to cover our last attempt. That's right, the last ride at keeping SPS. We are finally fully loaded again, and the tank at this point is looking pretty damn good. So let's go ahead, jump right into it. Hit the like button now, hit the subscribe button. Let's get busy. Now, for the last preparations before mounting any new SPS, we had to address the algae issues on the archway, especially the cracks and crevices I just could not manually remove. No matter how much I brushed, no matter how much I tried to pull it, it just kept coming back. So, of course, we used a little bit of cheating, meaning peroxide. So, a little peroxide in the cup on a toothbrush, getting in the cracks and crevices, and then whatever I couldn't brush, I just took whatever was left and just literally poured it on the rock and sizzled the algae to death. Also, anything else that was on the rock work. So I'm happy to report, weeks later, we still are algae free, and this appeared to have done the trick. So for those that are curious, if you're going to try this, just make sure you have the tank drained, rock exposed to air, and try to limit it getting into your water column. But this is also the last time you're going to see me draining the tank, because we are done with the manual water changes on the Be Easy Reef. I'll follow up on that a little later in this video, but for now, this is what it looks like, guys. So the rock work is ready to finally reload the tank with those good old colorful sticks, also known as SPS, the things that I can't keep. Well, let me correct myself. Not able to keep SPS yet. That's right, guys. I dusted myself off, gave myself a few months to lick my wounds and get the tank at least to the point where I feel like it was ready to try acros again. And here we go. I've got a nice box of coral therapy at the door, getting these guys temperature acclimated. Now, when I opened them up, a couple of the bags did have a brown tinge to it. So I'm thinking those two probably didn't enjoy the flight from California to Kentucky, but the rest of the acros arrived in really good shape. And we're going to hope that the other ones, are able to bounce back. But overall, very, very happy. Chunky corals, very colorful. Definitely going to go a long way to reloading the Be Easy Reef with those good old sticks that everyone likes. As you guys can see on the frag rack, chilling, flowing, swaying, all that good stuff. And for those that are wondering where these came from, none other than your favorite reefer, West Coast Reefer. Now check out his YouTube and his Instagram. 300-gallon tank is goals, and he does ship out coral packs, and he was able to get me a pack out for a good deal. So make sure you guys check him out if you're interested. So let's switch gears for a moment, and I'm going to give you guys the final update on the Miller Blenny, aka Speedy, the fastest fish known to man. He must be kin to the Flash, because he just speeds around the tank, darts and not everything. But he had a reputation on the reef and streets for being an Aptasia eater, also an algae eater, and any of the nuisance, things in your tank, this guy is supposed to gobble them up, and that he did. He definitely was a muncher, but the wrong kind of muncher. Not only did he not take care of the algae or Aptasia, he started eating everything else, including any test acro I put in the tank. He's munching on my leather corals. He just ate everything except the things that I wanted him to eat. Full disclaimer, I can't say he did not eat Aptasia. I know I still have Aptasia in the system, but one thing I can't allow is for him to munch on other things beside it, right in front of my face. This guy literally didn't care. I pulled the camera out, he still goes to town. So we had to get him out of the tank, and he definitely was going to put my undisputed, fish catching crown on the line. Because of how fast and how small he was, it was going to be hard to navigate, catching him with a net or trapping him like I have done any of the other fish in the tank. So, what do? Well, we pulled the good old bait and swoop on him, meaning I know he was an acro muncher. So, all those delicious West Coast reefer frags on the frag rack, he couldn't resist himself. So I just kind of let him get up there and perch, like I didn't care about anything he was doing. Put the net in the tank and he still didn't move. So luckily the net fit right over the frag rack. And I was able to trap him and 8 or 9 different acros in the net. You got to love it. You catch fish, you catch corals, and you catch something that needs to come out of the tank the easiest way possible and no damage done. So I'm still undisputed fish catching multi-tank division champ. Holla at CJ if you need something caught in your tank. I'll get it done for you. Now, in an effort to improve the flow in the tank for the SPS and just, staying on top of routine pump maintenance, I did give these guys a nice acid bath overnight. Got all the coralline off, got all the gunks out of the pumps, the orbit pump, the MP40s, and the flow in the tank increased tenfold. Now, you guys know I have tons of flow. Unfortunately, I didn't expect this to happen when I walked in the door. I noticed the MP40 on the front glass, all the way on the sand bed, which was odd. Never seen this happen before, but I caught a little small glimpse of some bright orange in the tank. And unfortunately, I had just added a Sherman Rose NEM to the system, which was nice and snuggled in the rockwork. But I guess the increased flow, made him walk, or maybe he came loose and he was sucked into the MP40, which, man, not sure what happened, but I'm guessing that he seized the MP40 up, made it spin itself off of its mount, and it fell on the sand bed. So had to try to rescue the guy. He wasn't chopped to bits, at least I thought he wasn't. Now I put him right back where he was. I looked a couple days later, and it looks like he was starting to kind of melt or disintegrate. So definitely don't want dying NEM parts blowing all over the tank. So we had to siphon this guy out the hard way, and RIP to the Sherman Rose NEM because it was a beautiful anemone. I really was looking forward to that thing being in the tank. So as you guys can see, that's what's left of him. His foot was pretty much, chopped in half. And I guess I'm glad that the MP40 came off the wall, because if it did not, I'm 100% sure it probably would have turned this guy into, anemone slurry all over the tank, and we was able to avoid it. So let's take a quick break from the update and recognize a YouTube channel that goes by simply Reefing. Now, if you guys have been following the build series, I've been sneaking Easter egg questions at the end of the videos. In the end of episode 34, I asked the question, how many times did I say be easy reef during the update? And he was the only one that stuck around long enough and attempted to answer the question. So congrats, my man, for sticking around, supporting the channel, and you now have a shout out. And I'm hoping that everyone that's watching the video now sees how awesome your display is. Dope content. I've been a subscriber for a long time, and it's definitely worth going to stop by his channel, because his tank is definitely goals that I'm trying to reach, especially the SPS growth he's getting and just the overall system. My man knows what he's doing. Definitely worth a follow. Head him up. Let him know CJ sent you. And stick around, because I'm going to be sneaking Easter egg shout outs in all the updates going forward. So make sure that you're the one that gets it next. So for those that were curious, I mentioned earlier no more water changes on the tank. Well, I meant manual water changes. We are definitely still doing water changes via the Dose Quiet Drive. Now, if you missed the last video, I did a full walkthrough and install on this. So I'm going to give you guys a quick update. I've been using it for about a week or so. Only issue I ran into was it losing prime, only because I was using 90-degree elbows inside my storage container, thinking that I was going to be routing the wires better, but I had to remedy that situation. Took that off, got the prime reestablished, and now it is fully functional, draining fresh salt water from the storage bin. I have it monitored by the liquid level sensor, letting me know when it's low, and then it drains the tank, no problem. One thing I'll tell you, it's draining the tank through this white line and sending it through 30 feet of rotary line with no issue, and then it refills the tank just as easily. So far, auto water changes are working out perfectly. I'm only doing a gallon a day right now just to kind of fill it out. And then depending on test results, we may up that to 2 or 3 gallons per day. Verdict's still out as far as how much, but it's definitely working. So let's jump right back into the Be Easy Reef and finally get these acros mounted. Now, I gotta tell you, this is one of the most therapeutic parts of the hobby for me. Putting the tank underneath all blues, giving you a clear idea of what corals are fluorescing, and you kind of have to turn into an artist with a paintbrush. What looks good where, how are things gonna grow? Is it gonna table? Is it gonna be a branching SPS? All those are questions you have to, consider before you mounting them. So we got the first batch mounted, and the next batch you see on the sand bed was courtesy of another local reefer. So you got to love people who are supporting the Be Easy build. They see the tank, they know that I'm ready for the last ride. So they were able to help me out and hook me up with a few more corals to see if I'm ready for the SPS big leagues, also known as keeping things alive long enough to watch them grow. So, we got those mounted. And then, of course, we went through and removed all the dead wood, meaning, leftover ACAN skeletons and, SPS that may have died in the past I never removed. We got all those out of the tank, basically restarted the tank, erased all the death and failure that may have been there from months in the past. And finally, we are ready to go, guys. So as far as maintenance, just stirring the sand bed, turkey basting the rock, turning on the good old bubble scrubbing to help remove any extra detritus, or, in my mind, I feel like it removes any oils or anything that may have been on my skin from being in the tank for an hour. Either way, I always like a good bubble scrub after putting hands in the system and erasing all the nastiness from the day's work. So I'm really enjoying how the tank's looking so far. I gotta tell you, for those curious, this is what a nice late night bubble scrub looks like. Tons of flow, tons of bubbles, tons of detritus going into the filtration. And we're gonna see the final results after all this is done in just a moment. So we have finally arrived, guys. After, 2 hours or so of mounting corals, removing all the things we needed to remove, algae, skeletons, getting the picture right was the goal, and we definitely got it right. Tank is looking awesome after a night of bubble scrubbing. The corals look good, fish looks good, water clarity is good, tons of flow, and overall, I'm just really happy with where we are today. Now, I say today because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring in your reef tank, but you got to enjoy the good moments, right? Including the clownfish and the anemone pair doing their thing. Anemone's getting huge on the backside of the tank. And then the hidden angles, like under the overhang, corals that you forget about, like the branching bubble coral on the backside of the system, or that baby toadstool that I mounted is now finally kind of finding its legs and shooting upwards towards the light. So there are some corals that are definitely showing positive signs of growth, and there's other corals that are kind of standing still. And it kind of makes me feel like I'm an artist that can paint a picture, but not one that has a growing tank. So it kind of makes you wonder, what is the status of your system? And then you got to think back and look at some of the issues I've had over the last year, whether it was alkalinity spikes, nutrient issues, or lingbaia, dinos. I think all of those were growth pausing events for my tank in general, and that's what I'm trying to avoid this time around. As you guys can see, SPS Arch fully loaded, tons of different corals. I can't tell you all the names. I will tell you I do have a Bill Murray tabling acro up front, Vivid Confetti. I have some Digitata in there. I have some Torts. I have some Anacroporus. A few other corals I don't know the name of, but the names never really mattered to me. It's about the patterns, the colors, and the growth that I hopefully can get in this system. So, when I think back to all those tank, ending events that I've had to survive, those were also the same reasons I feel like the tank has paused in growth so many times over the last year that I'm nowhere near as far as I should be, a year and a half with this tank's age. But we're going to change that now. This is going to be the first day, the official start of trying to maintain growth in the tank, meaning no events that's going to stop things from growing. Of course, the leathers, the zoanthids, the pallies, all those things are going to keep chugging along no matter what happens to your tank. But I want to see if I can get the acros to encrust, grow, polyp extension, if I can get all of my LPS corals splitting, new heads and all those kind of things, and really see a major difference in the picture that I painted a year from now. That's the goal. So, got to ask the question, is your tank living or is it thriving? I feel like my tank has been living for the last year, but we're ready to move forward over into the next stage. Also, meaning keeping urchins alive. That's right. Sidetracked for a moment, but I noticed this guy was carrying around a baby leather. So I figured I would get the squiggly grabber tool and, remove that leather from that guy and let him do his thing. But overall, that's kind of what we're looking at on the system. I mean, just kind of maintaining things with the auto water change, smaller swings, a constant introduction of trace elements to the system, a constant removal of maybe any metals or pollutants or toxins or any of those things, making sure that the algae scrubber and skimmer working in tandem are not too much for the system, making sure that the calc is being dosed correctly, using the trident to my advantage, the normal trident, which is monitoring alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium, and then of course the trident MP, which we'll be adding to the system, helping to maintain the nutrients and making sure those are okay. So I feel like the big thing is going to make sure that all the nutrients and the water is good. And the next thing is going to be addressing the lighting on the Be Easy Reef. Now, you guys know I've been running the AI blades, a combination of 2 grows and 2 glows, for almost a year at this point on the tank, but I can't remember the par numbers I'm actually getting from the lights. So I'm going to pick up a par meter and we're going to remap the Be Easy Reef an additional time just to make sure we're getting all the adequate par SPS need and different things in the tank. Now, for those that are curious about the color pop underneath the AI blades, a good old top down never lies. Tank looks amazing from the top down, and you can really see the left side is definitely the more mature side of the system, fully grown in. That peak of zoanthus and pallies is fully just kind of covering the rock work. And then the SPS, you can see how those things are going to fill in, and it's just a different view from the top. It's something that I don't do very often, but man, when I get the opportunity, I try to make sure I take it in, and also gives me an idea of the blank spots and the things that we may need to refill, or the areas that we can squeeze in another type of coral here and there. There still are some voids on the rock work that we definitely can take care of, but overall, I'm very happy with the color layout of the Be Easy Reef. So you guys can see the good old restart on the tank, tons of flow kicking back on, and it's time to enjoy the hard work. I feel like during the daytime is the best viewing for the fish, but once the all blues come on, basically killing the cool whites on the blades, definitely all color pop, and you can see the layout and the overall theme of what I'm looking for. Of course, we have the movement on the left side and the right side of the tank, and it's kind of building the archway from the bottom all the way up to the top, and keeping corals that grow taller in the back and corals that stay bushier and smaller in the front. So that way it gives a sense of depth that you want. And also the top of the tank, look at the Sunny D's completely taking over. Those guys are growing like crazy right underneath the water surface. Tons of par, tons of flow. For those that had any doubt about putting zoanthus or pallies, in those kind of environments, this is the proof right here. You guys know I started off with like 6 little bitty frag plugs. Frag plugs are completely gone now. Those things are growing like crazy. But overall, I guess the question is, what's left to do? There are a few different areas that we need to kind of replace some corals, like the front right of the archway. Definitely got to replace the acan garden that was there with something else that I had to remove. And, to have a couple corals that we may need to remount or move, especially the SPS. Leather core is a little too close to one. I didn't realize it until it opened up the next day. So trying to find the final locations for some of these corals, especially, depending on the growth of the corals next to them. And hopefully, we avoid that coral warfare down the line, which honestly is probably responsible for a majority of the deaths I've had in the tank, whether a torch has killed something, or, Ellington's coral's gotten too close to something, or, a hammer coral's gotten too close to something. I mean, coral warfare definitely is something to make sure you keep in mind. And also trying to figure out what's going on with a few of my LPS corals. I have a frog spawn here that looks like it's starting kind of to detach from the skeleton. So I'm not sure if this is related to the crazy flow I have in the tank, or maybe my doing from being a little too aggressive with the toothbrush, too close to the coral's tissues around the skeleton. I'm not really sure. So if you guys have an idea of what could cause this, if it's not flow, if it's not, manual irritation from me doing it, what else could be the cause? Because I don't want to start losing LPS, which is the one coral that I never really lose. to something of my doing. So you guys in the comments, drop one, let me know what you think on it, and I'll see if I can remedy the situation. So here we are, guys. I mean, the game plan is set, the stage is set, the tank is mounted, painted with beautiful colors of corals, and we have a master plan. I haven't said master plan one time in this video because I haven't felt real masterful lately, but this is the new master plan. Basically, keeping things stable as possible and taking advantage of every little piece of automation and monitoring that I have on this tank with the Neptune Apex to benefit me and hopefully make me a better reefer, because as you guys can tell, having equipment isn't a guarantee to success if you don't use it the right way and you don't manage your water and things the right way. So at this point, I think it's time to kind of get on out of here. So if you guys want more content, always swing by my Instagram at CJ's Aquariums. For everyone to stick around on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. So as always, hey, you guys can like, comment, subscribe. You guys keep doing what y'all do. Y'all be easy and happy reefing. Peace.